Hello, friends! I hope life has been good to you. How's everything going? It's been forever since my last vlog, I know, but thank you for joining me once again. And in case you are new here, welcome and please don't forget to like and subscribe. In this video, we continue driving in Dordogne, also known as the Perigord region in the southwest of France. It's the end of October, a magical time of year where the landscape transforms into a canvas of warm autumn hues, making it more captivating. Today we are so lucky to be passing through not one, but two of the most famous castles in the area, and they so happen to be in the most beautiful villages too. So here we are on our first stop. Welcome to Beynac-et-Cazenac.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air, and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh, dreamy, breezy, we go easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. Hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for the grand. As willows align, we lose track of time. At up high, now we climb.
Okay guys, so may quick stopover na naman tayo dito sa Beynac-et-Cazenac. And medyo mabilis lang tayo dito.
Easy on our tiptoes.
So I just wanted to stop by and have a closer look at this fairy tale spot. I just want to be a villager and, have this perfect coffee spot. It's just so cute in here. The road gets steeper now, and up ahead, let's stop and rest in a tiny square that was once a key medieval gathering spot in the village. The name of the square translates to crossing, and you will find this cross patillé in stone, which came from the cemetery of Cazenac. We can soak in the view of the river and observe the stone houses and rooftops. And from here, we can catch glimpses of the 15th century Chateau de Bayak. This served as an outpost for Castelnaud to monitor its rival Beynac. So Beynac and Castelnaud are very close to each other, only about 2 kilometers apart, directly across the Dordogne River. Now let's have a look at the largest house in this village. It's a historical residence built in 1607 with 18th century terraced gardens offering stunning views. And if you look at the far end of the property, there is an infinity pool. You can book the whole place for about 17 people, and I wish I could stay here. It's so nice. So here in this beautiful crossroad, we find a national heritage site, our monument historique. The Beynac Convent Tower is right next to the remains of an ancient Augustinian abbey. The monks must have used it for prayer and contemplation. This was where the knights would stay, so it's also known as the Knight's Tower.
Okay guys, we're going up.
Over time, it became a stronghold for monitoring the valley below and defending against attacks. Now we're walking in this romantic cobblestone path leading us to another historical monument. Finally, we are at the gates of the Chateau de Beynac. High above the Dordogne River, standing as a silent sentinel over the valley, the 12th century Chateau de Beynac is a mighty fortress that once controlled trade, wealth, and war. Since I was curious about its rise to power, I learned that it all starts with location. The lords of Beynac built their castle in the perfect spot, high above the river, where they could watch over merchants and travelers. In the 12th century, the Beynac family made sure they controlled trade on the river. They charged tolls on goods like salt, wine, and timber, making a fortune in the process. The lords also taxed local farmers and formed deals with powerful allies, making sure their influence kept growing. But money alone wasn't enough. During the 100 Years' War, they sided with the French king, and in return, they gained royal support and stayed in power. Of course, every castle had an enemy. Just across the river, the English controlled Chateau de Castelnaud. For years, the two castles faced each other, each trying to gain the upper hand. The 100 Years' War ended in 1453 with the victory of France over England. So now it's time for a sneak peek inside these ancient walls. The guard room was added to the keep in the 12th century and served as the entry point for the lord and his armed men. The stateroom of Perigord was the gathering place of the 4 great baronies of the region. Imagine the candlelight flickering as barons and warriors planned their next move against the English forces just across the river. And then we come to this private chapel where the lords of Beynac sought divine favor, surrounded by 15th century medieval frescoes. And here in the spur terrace is where we find the most breathtaking views of the valley. These kitchens were added in the 13th century, and I can imagine the fires burning with the scent of roasted meat in the air. And of course, every castle needs this rather amusing medieval toilet. From war to refinement, Beynac was not only a fortress, but also a home. And perhaps the most famous figure associated with Beynac Castle is the legendary King of England, Richard the Lionheart, who spent time in the castle as part of his vast inheritance from his French mother, Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine. But as gunpowder replaced swords and kings gave way to republics, Beynac's purpose faded. By the 17th century, its halls were empty. The French Revolution sealed its fate, looted, abandoned, and left to decay. Then, in the 1960s, a man named Lucien Grosso saw hope in the ruins. He bought the castle and began a decades-long restoration, reviving it stone by stone. So now we're gonna have to leave the village, but wow, it's just so lovely in here. Have you ever seen the movie Chocolat? Apparently, some scenes were shot right here, but I just don't know where exactly. You know, I'm just amazed at the thought that Beynac Castle's been standing here for over 900 years. And even though the wars are long gone, this place still ends up being the ultimate battleground. It was used in the movies The Messenger Joan of Arc and The Last Duel. Both are based on true medieval stories set in France. And yep, I'm 100% watching them as soon as I get home. Let's just call it historical research. As we drove, another imposing castle caught our eye. Its rich history with Beynac was irresistible, so we pulled over for a closer look. Just like Beynac-et-Cazenac, Castelnaud-la-Chapelle is also on the list of Les Plus Beaux Villages de France. Its name means new castle in Latin, with La Chapelle hinting at an old chapel for Saint Michael. It was traditionally a farming and fishing village that grew around a 12th century fortress. Once upon a hillside, two rival castles watched each other across the river. This one, Castelnaud-la-Chapelle, was built to counter its rival Beynac. The castle frequently changed hands between the English and the French, caught in the tug-of-war between the two kingdoms. It was ultimately recaptured by the French, likely around the mid to late 15th century, as the conflict drew to a close. Nowadays, its peaceful location where the Chateau River meets the Dordogne is a favorite spot for artists and photographers, especially during golden hour. The castle may have gone quiet, but its military legacy lived on. Today, it houses the Museum of Medieval Warfare. The fortress is packed with real medieval war machines. They have full-size trebuchets, ballistae, and catapults. On special days, you can catch a live demo and see a rock get hurled down a hill like it's 1350 all over again. If not, you can book their Assaulting the Castle tour and see a mini trebuchet being fired. Depending on the season, they have medieval shows, blacksmiths, and a night school. My inner child tells me I absolutely have to come back here. It was so tempting to go inside the castle, but we're saving that for next time. And so, my dear travelers, I hope you enjoyed our drive in the Perigord region. And if you did, share your thoughts, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Merci beaucoup. And until our next adventure. Bye!